Water capacity in pounds times 0.42 equals propane capacity in pounds. Add the tare weight and propane capacity together to determine the total filled weight of the cylinder. Next, add the hose and fitting weight to the total filled weight of the cylinder. This is the scale set point. Set the platform scale to the set point. Make sure the scale is level and no obstructions interfere with proper operation. Always be present and pay close attention during the entire filling operation. Place the cylinder on the scale. Select the proper hose and adapter to fit the cylinder valve. Remove the protective cap or plug from the valve. Connect to the cylinder. Start the pump. If through a filler valve, slowly open the hose end valve. If through a service valve, open the hose end valve, then slowly open the cylinder service valve. When target weight is reached, close the hose end valve. Shut off the pump. Make sure the service valve is closed. Loosen the connection and wait for any trapped liquid to bleed off. When trapped liquid is vented, disconnect the hose end fitting. Verify the filled weight as required by regulations. Use an approved method, such as a non-corrosive leak detector solution, to check for leaks. Reinstall appropriate valve caps and plugs. If the cylinder has a filler valve, reinstall the cap. Replace any caps and plugs that are missing. Apply any required DOT and/or OSHA labels and a cylinder warning label if the manufacturer's label is not legible or you removed a paper or plastic sleeve. Filling by volume. Before filling cylinders by volume, open and close the vent valve on the fixed maximum liquid level gauge to be sure vapor vents. If no vapor escapes, the valve may be blocked and must be reopened before the gauge will operate properly. Do not attempt to fill a cylinder by volume if the fixed maximum liquid level gauge is damaged or inoperable. Filling by volume follows a similar procedure with a few adjustments. Make sure all cylinder valves are closed. Select the proper hose end adapter to fit the filler valve or service valve. Remove the protective cap or plug from the valve. Connect the cylinder. Open the vent valve on the fixed maximum liquid level gauge. If a white mist appears when the gauge is opened, stop. The cylinder is already full. Start the pump. If through a filler valve, slowly open the hose end valve. When a white mist begins to escape from the fixed maximum liquid level gauge, immediately close the hose end valve. Close the vent valve on the fixed maximum liquid level gauge. Failure to shut off the propane promptly will result in an overfilled cylinder. Overfilling a cylinder can create a hazardous condition. Shut off the pump. Loosen the connection and wait for any trapped liquid to bleed off. When trapped liquid has vented, disconnect the hose end fitting. Reinstall appropriate valve caps and plugs. If the cylinder has a filler valve, reinstall the cap. Replace any caps and plugs that are missing. Apply any required DOT and/or OSHA labels and a cylinder warning label if the manufacturer's label is not legible or you removed a paper or plastic sleeve. Position the cylinder securely using the locating pin on the truck and the hole in the cylinder collar. Secure the hold-down straps properly. reconnect the fuel line, and check the cylinder and its valves for leaks with a non-corrosive leak detector solution, inspecting the gaskets and O-rings in the filler valve and service valve connector for defects or leaks. Post-filling procedures. After the cylinder filling operation has been completed, or any time the filling station is unattended, close the valves at the storage tank. Store the hose on a rack inside a fence-protected area, inside the dispenser cabinet, or secured to a supporting structure inside the filling room. If the location isn't weather-protected, install a dust cap or plug into the hose filling adapter. Secure the installation against tampering or unauthorized use. Cylinder exchange. Park the truck in a designated safe area and stop the engine. Close the cylinder valve and remove the quick disconnect coupling from the cylinder. Remove the empty cylinder from the cradle holding device and store it in a designated safe area. Select a filled cylinder and check it for damage or leaks. Also be sure to inspect the fuel lines and forklift connector couplings, especially the washers and O-rings, for damage or signs of aging. Be sure the cylinder valve is closed prior to connecting. Carefully install the filled cylinder in the cradle on the truck so the cylinder locator pin enters the locating hole in the cylinder collar. Securely mount the cylinder in its brackets and within the outline of the vehicle. Reconnect the fuel line to the cylinder liquid service valve and open the valve slowly. In some instances, locating pins may be missing or broken off, allowing the cylinder to be mounted in any position. When this happens, the liquid withdrawal tube may give a false indication that the cylinder is empty. The pressure relief valve may also be immersed in liquid fuel, which would cause the cylinder to vent liquid in the event that it was activated. In the event that the locating pins for a cylinder are broken, take the forklift out of service. Check for leaks using an approved method, such as a non-corrosive leak detector solution. If a leak is found, close the valve immediately and notify your supervisor or manager. If no leaks are found, start the engine and proceed with your work. Refueling motorhomes and other vehicle-mounted ASME tanks. Propane dispensers are used to refuel motorhome tanks and other vehicle-mounted ASME tanks, such as catering truck tanks. This section does not discuss autogas dispensers. Please view Module 9 for more information on autogas dispensing station equipment. This module gives you the basic information needed to fill motorhome tanks and other vehicle-mounted ASME tanks. However, before you begin the filling process, you need to make sure that you view the first 3 modules of this program. These 3 modules will provide you a better understanding of how to safely handle and transfer liquid propane, as well as a review of the dispensing equipment you will use. You have not completed the necessary training to fill motorhome and other vehicle-mounted ASME tanks unless you complete modules 1 through 3 first. In order to fill these tanks safely, they must be inspected to be sure they have all the correct markings, components, and are in good condition. Features of vehicle-mounted ASME tanks. There are several variations of vehicle-mounted ASME tanks. All variations are equipped with an ASME data plate, a fixed maximum liquid level gauge, a relief valve, a 1 3/4-inch Acme filler valve, a float gauge that displays approximate liquid level. A fixed maximum liquid level gauge is installed in the ASME tank with a tube inside at the maximum liquid filling line. Fuel tank float gauges are used to confirm the liquid level before and after filling. They are not used for filling, but rather to let you know when you need a refill. The filler valve assembly may include a stop-fill auto-stop valve that acts as an overfill protection device, similar to those used in portable DOT cylinders. Motorhome tanks and other vehicle-mounted tanks provide vapor service to appliances within a vehicle, such as a gas range. A vapor service valve assembly may include a relief valve. A pressure regulator is connected to the vapor service valve. If the tank is enclosed within the body of the vehicle, hoses called pipe-aways may be connected to the relief valve, the filler valve, and the fixed maximum liquid level gauge to carry any discharged propane to the outside and to provide ready access for filling. Inspection of tank, valves, and hoses. When inspecting the tanks, valves, and hoses, look for the following signs of damage. Any damage could cause a propane leak, which could result in a fire. Damage to filler valve threads or gaskets. Damage to the fixed maximum liquid level gauge. Damage to a vapor service hose or valve. Damage to the relief valve or pipe-away hose. Damage to the tank, dents, gouges, or significant corrosion. A cracked float gauge face. If any damage is present, do not fill the tank. Verify markings and labels. The following markings and labels must be present and visible. An ASME data plate lists the working pressure and other tank information. If the data plate is missing or illegible, or shows a working pressure other than 250 or 312 psi, the tank must not be filled. Filling motorhome or other vehicle-mounted ASME tanks. Before filling a vehicle-mounted ASME tank, make sure no one is inside the vehicle and that the ignition is turned off. Customers should be restricted from the immediate area around the liquid propane filling operation. Make sure there are no ignition sources within 25 feet of the fill connection or metal working operations, including grinding, oxygen fuel gas cutting, brazing, soldering, or welding, within 35 feet. Filling procedures for vehicle-mounted ASME tanks used for motorhomes and catering trucks are used to supply propane appliances that are possible ignition sources. Therefore, it is critically important that appliance pilots and electronic ignition systems are turned off before starting the filling process. Notify the owner that you are turning the propane fuel supply off at the vapor service valve. Be sure that pilots and ignition systems are off. Always put on appropriate personal protective equipment before starting the filling operation. Set the propane meter to 0. Connect the fill hose to the tank fill valve. Open the vent valve on the fixed maximum liquid level gauge and check for flow. If vapor appears, continue the filling process. If liquid appears, stop the filling process because the tank is full. Start the pump and slowly open the valve on the end of the hose. When a steady white mist or fog is first emitted from the fixed maximum liquid level gauge or the OPD stops the flow, immediately close the hose end valve. Close the fixed maximum liquid level gauge. Shut off the pump. Slowly loosen the filler adapter to vent liquid propane trapped between the filler adapter and the tank filler valve. Wait until propane stops venting before completely disconnecting the adapter. Check the valve for leaks and replace the dust cap. If it is not your company's policy to light customer pilot lights, you should advise the customer to have a professional service company or gas distributor light the pilot lights, and that if the customer does this without professional help, the appliance manufacturer's instructions must be followed carefully. When the dispenser is not in use, or at any time that a qualified dispenser operator is not in attendance, it should be shut down and secured in keeping with company operating procedures. The shutdown procedure should ensure that dispenser operating valves are closed, transfer hoses are secured in storage cabinets or their designated locations, the dispenser cabinet or fence gates are closed and locked. Becoming familiar with both the fuel system and safe filling procedures will ensure your safety as well as that of your customers. Dispensing propane for mowers. Propane lawnmowers offer many benefits to professional landscape contractors, including reduced costs, lower emissions, and long run times between fills. Refueling propane equipment is an easy and safe process if you follow the proper procedures. In order to ensure your safety and the safety of your coworkers when dispensing propane, you should know about the fuel, equipment, regulations, and processes that are involved in refueling propane mowers. This module gives you the basic information needed to fill propane mower cylinders. However, before you begin the filling process, you need to make sure that you view the first 4 modules of this program. These 4 modules will provide you a better understanding of how to safely handle and transfer liquid propane, provide you information about the dispensing equipment, various cylinder components, required cylinder markings, pre-fill visual inspection, and requalification requirements, purging cylinders, as well as labeling, loading, and transporting cylinders. You have not completed the necessary training to fill propane mower cylinders unless you complete modules 1 through 4 first. If you refuel propane mowers, there are several responsibilities that come with the job. They include understanding the routine inspections, operation, and regulations that apply to the dispensing equipment, making sure that the correct type of cylinder is being used on the mower, inspecting cylinders to ensure that they are safe for filling, filling cylinders to their proper levels and preventing containers from being overfilled, maintaining the security of the propane dispenser and transfer area by confining or restricting ignition sources and preventing tampering or the release of propane, shutting down and securing the dispenser in the event of an emergency. Whether you have an on-site propane refueling station or are simply exchanging cylinders, this video will provide you with the necessary information needed to safely refuel your mower. Propane cylinders. There are 2 types of propane cylinders that are used on mowers. The most common are cylinders that use a left-hand thread and have a vapor service valve, commonly referred to as outdoor power equipment or mower cylinders. These have a colored, usually green, collar and were designed specifically for mower applications. Some mowers are designed to use forklift cylinders, which have a right-hand thread and have a liquid service valve. The different threads prevent users from installing the wrong type of cylinder on the mower. If you're not sure which type of cylinder your mower requires, please consult with your equipment manufacturer or dealer. Do not attempt to modify, convert, or otherwise tamper with the valves on the cylinder or mower, as they are not interchangeable. Both types of propane cylinders have common valves and gauges. These may include pressure relief valve, filler valve, fixed maximum liquid level gauge, fuel gauge, liquid or vapor service valve. The pressure relief valve provides overpressure protection to the cylinder. If the pressure inside the container becomes too high, the relief valve releases vapor and reduces the pressure to a safe level. It should be kept clean, unrestricted, and set to the 12 o'clock position when the cylinder is mounted horizontally, whether on a mower or in a storage rack. A rain cap or dust cap must also be in place. Most cylinders have a filler valve. The valve has an internal check valve that prevents fuel from leaving the cylinder. The filler valve should be covered with a plastic cap. Some filler valves may contain an overfill prevention device, or OPD. The fixed maximum liquid level gauge indicates when the maximum permitted filling level has been reached in the cylinder. When the level of liquid propane reaches the tube opening, the liquid propane emits out of the vent valve, signaling the operator to stop filling. Cylinders may also have a fuel gauge that shows the approximate fuel level. More specific cylinders with a left-hand thread have a vapor service valve. Forklift cylinders with a right-hand thread have a liquid service valve. Each valve has an internal check valve to prevent fuel from leaving the cylinder. When the cylinder is in use, the valve must be open completely. Liquid and vapor service valves are equipped with a male quick disconnect coupling, which acts as an added check valve. A hose that is part of the carburation system is equipped with the female portion of the coupling. Both the male and female halves are equipped with 100% shutoffs. When coupled together, they open and allow gas to flow. If the liquid service valve is turned on without being connected to the female portion, no gas can escape because the coupler has two seals, an O-ring and a flat washer. Both the washer and the O-ring should be replaced if they show signs of wear, abuse, or leakage. Filling mower cylinders. Before filling a cylinder, make sure you are aware of the following information regarding safety and handling procedures, and be sure to check with your supervisor for any exceptions. Know your facility's fire prevention and emergency evacuation plans, including where and how to operate emergency shutdown and pump controls. Please note that there are different types of emergency shutdown systems. Be sure you know how to operate the emergency shutdown system at your facility. Locate the nearest fire extinguishers and make sure they are in proper working condition. Know how to use the fire extinguishers according to your company policies. Only use fire extinguishers to create an escape route, not to fight a propane fire. The only safe way to extinguish a propane fire is by stopping the flow of propane. Ensure there are no ignition sources within 25 feet of the filling area, or metalworking operations including grinding, oxygen fuel gas cutting, brazing, soldering, or welding within 35 feet. Pre-filling procedures. Before starting the cylinder filling operation, follow these steps to ensure the safety of you and your fellow employees. Do not allow unauthorized people in the filling area. Open the secured filling area and inspect the cylinder filling station equipment. Open the appropriate liquid outlet and bypass return valves on the storage tank. Remove the hose from its secure storage location. If the location isn't weather protected, remove the dust cap or plug from the hose filling adapter. Verify the cylinder you are preparing to fill is a propane cylinder by reviewing the cylinder design code specification markings on the cylinder. Verify the cylinder is not out of date by checking the date code on the cylinder. Inspect the cylinder to be sure it's not damaged or leaking and is safe to fill. If the cylinder is new and has not been vacuum purged, or is a cylinder that has been open to the atmosphere, it will need to be properly purged before filling. If you find any defects that would prevent